Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's another day of Ragnarok, and right now we are in Krakatopia for this next part of the reagent series. If things go well, this one should be going up on Thursday of this upcoming week. I'm recording this on a Saturday, just like I'm doing a lot of these all at once, because I kind of figured out my flow, but trying to do a bunch of these during the weekend, so that when the weekdays come, I only have to focus on the streams. But for this video, we're actually going to talk about Parchment today. And Parchment, so as a low level, it's kind of a pain to get. But if you can get a way to get to Selenopolis, my two go-to spots for Parchment are there. The bad news is, to be able to get to the Selenopolis story quests that start Arc 5, you have to be level 160. No, 170, sorry. I almost said 160, but I was like, wait, no, that's not right. So after you beat Wallaroo is when you can do the Selenopolis story. However, you can get there even earlier because you actually have to do the magic weaving prerequisite before you can even get to Celestia after you beat Dragonspire. So you can get to Selenopolis as early as level 50. Just don't go into the streets, y'all. You'll die. But yeah, so we're gonna go to Selenopolis right quick. Over here at this boat, behind here where the Krakatopia dorm looks like it's gonna end up being. So we're gonna take this boat. This one. So now that we are here in Selenopolis, as you come over here, so all the NPCs are here in my case, but they might not be for you. There are two places we're gonna go for Parchment. And each one has a different secondary reagent that you can get here. First, we're going to go to the spot on the left. This is actually my main spot for Parchment. This circular area around here. Because here, you can get Parchment, and you can get Deep Mushroom, which also contributes to getting Ancient Scrolls and Nightshade. So I'm going to show you guys my route that I'm going right now. We just circle around the whole time. And we do not have to realm hop. Because guess what? It respawns basically instantly. So if you pick up a mushroom, it'll spawn in a different spot in the circle, like so. And once you pick up a parchment, it will spawn in a different part of the circle as well. Usually on the opposite side. So like now that I just got this parchment right here, this one, now it's gonna probably spawn back at the other side somewhere, which I will go ahead and look now. And there's a few different node locations it could be. But you can kind of, but as you can see, the point is you just go around in the circle, and over time, you will be able to get at least a deep mushroom and a deep parchment, basically every single time you do this whole circle. As you saw there, I just got a nightshade. But you're always going to get at least one or the other every single lap. Usually it's supposed to be both, but if you're blind like me, sometimes you won't see both. But usually you get them. Although in my case, I must be blind because I'm missing out on Parchment, I think. I just gotta find it. My eyes are not working very good tonight. So we will see how it goes. There's the deep mushroom once again. We're gonna take that. Oh, there it is. I was just blind the whole time. My bad. But yeah. So for every single lap that you're doing, you should be able to get a deep mushroom and a parchment guaranteed, and they instantly respawn, like in a different part of the circle. So we're just doing these laps here as we speak, and yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of deep mushroom, and it's a lot of parchment. And these different reagents can be used for different recipes. Of course, in my case, I probably should have done my damn fucking research as to what recipes there are. Ah, here's one. So like for parchment, you could actually craft like this whirlwind. I think that's a 5 boxes one, and just stuff like that. You could see that you can craft different items with them, different various items throughout the game. And if I recall correctly, you actually need parchment and ancient scrolls, or maybe just the ancient scrolls for something else. Which I'm actually going to go over here somewhere, because there's a certain NPC that has something important to us. Yep, this is the one. So as you can see, I'm looking at the avatar gear at the Selenopolis Crafter. So in this case, you need the badges like you always do. But point is, you need the moon dust, which comes from the relevant bosses as per usual. And you need parchment and ancient scroll. And to get the ancient scroll, you basically just need to transmute with parchment into it, or just get lucky. In this case, if I wanted to craft this, I would only just have to kill the relevant bosses enough to get the badge, as well as get the moon dust required from them. I have not farmed this at all, because by the time I came back to the game, after a break, Darkmoor was already out, so I had no reason to do it yet. But at some point I probably will. Now I'm going to look at the Khonsu set. Okay, yeah. So for the Khonsu set, you basically just need the avatar equivalent as the reagent. But yeah, Deep Mushroom and Nightshade can be used for different recipes. So I just kind of showed you how to get the relevant parchment to be able to craft the Selenopolis 170 gear. So that is my spot for Deep Mushroom and Parchment. However, there's a second spot for Parchment that has a different secondary reagent. And for that, you basically want to go towards the Blended Grove, but not in it. So if you go over here, and then you take a right, we're actually going to go through this doorway over here on the right side of the Blended Grove, and we're going to see this square area with the staircase. And for this, I'm also going to do a circle, and as you can see, it is not Deep Mushroom. This time, it is ore. So we're gonna circle this whole square area, and we're gonna look for our parchment as well as any ore. And with ore, as mentioned in the Dragonspire crafting it, as mentioned in the Dragonspire areas, with ore you have a chance at getting diamond and transmuting, etc. So if you're someone who just beat Dragonspire, you're doing your weaving prerequisite, you do have access to this area, and there's no combat here, there's no mobs. So you can just circle these areas as much or as little as you desire. So if you need the Deep Mushroom, go to the Garden of Khonsu entrance circle. Or if you need ore as well as the parchment, go over to the Tomb of the Forgotten entrance area with the staircase. Now, once you do a whole loop, you actually want to go up the staircase too, because some of the nodes, they can spawn up here, such as this ore right here. And you also want to check the other side in case the parchment went there, because these are potential spawn locations. Even like this corner back here is one of them. And then once you check all the areas above, you just go back below and you repeat. And you do this for as long as you feel like. I usually do about an hour, maybe 2. It just kind of depends on like if you're bored, if you got stuff to do, or if you don't. Oh, hey, a diamond. But point is, this is where you can get this stuff, pretty much. So if it is double reagent, double like an unlimited crafting as the member benefit, you really want to take advantage of this entire playlist, of this entire course. Which, if you look on the channel, you will see that I made this both a playlist and a course in case you prefer one setup or the other. So yeah, when it comes down to it, when double reagent pops up, I highly recommend keeping an eye on this playlist, keeping an eye on this course, keeping an eye on this channel as well, because, well, the reason why I'm doing this series is because as good as a lot of the older guides are, a lot of them are much old enough to where some of the farms that we have now did not exist yet at the time because they weren't created and released. Like there's a lot of guys from like 5, 8, 10 years ago that Selenopolis was not a place in the game yet. So it's like some of this stuff is still going to be relatively fresh. And on top of that, you know, it can be hard to watch a video from 10 years ago knowing that Wiz content back then, the quality and the standard was not as high because times were much simpler back then. But either way, these are the spots where I go to for parchment. You can get here as early as beating Dragonspire, or if you're really, really trying to get your gear from Selenopolis, which I'll be honest, I think the Selenopolis farms are just better. And I think even the gear might be better too. I'd have to compare. But if you want your Selenopolis gear, these parchment farms are one method. And then to get the moon dust, you basically just have to get your badges from the bosses by killing them enough. As per usual with the current system and the current template of how things go today. But that is probably going to do it for this video. That was the Parchment guide. These guides aren't super long right now, but a lot of that is because some of these that we're doing are not too hard. They're not that complicated. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, and if you found this helpful, hit the like, hit the comment, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs for the first time in our lives. My name is Tier, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good night.